What's good, y'all? Welcome to the highly anticipated season 2 of the podcast. In this episode, we talk about a lot of different stuff, so the timestamps will be in the description below so that you can choose where you want to start. Oh yeah, quick apology. We would have had video for this one, but the footage got corrupted at the beginning, and we didn't feel like just showing you a part of it when we can just show you all of the footage next time on the next episode. So thank you for being patient with us. That's all, I believe, and without any further ado, enjoy the show.
Living. I'll let you go first.
Were you crying?
You're in the tallest chair, so you go first.
No, he didn't have COVID.
My COVID experience?
But he still had a COVID experience.
I thought I had it, and then I got tested twice because they did it wrong the first time.
How do you... Hold on. Can we talk about that for a second?
How do you do it wrong?
How do you know? Can we talk about testing? The
we
testing experience.
Yeah, that didn't feel too good.
I beat that,
to be honest.
Wait, how do they do it wrong?
That's what I'm trying to explain. So they did it the first time, right? And they only did like one nostril. Like normally,
you're supposed to do one nostril.
No, I did both.
When they
only did one. No, especially my tonsils. They went. Listen,
both of them hit the same spot.
They went.
When they normally do it, they stick it far enough back to like touch your toes. Like that, it goes all the way down through your stomach.
When they did it to me, the thing was coming out my mouth like that.
When they did it to me, it just like touched right here. So they didn't do it properly. But anyway, for real, on a real note, all right. So I got tested and it came back, and apparently the results were inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
Inconceivable. They did not gather enough data. Apparently. So then the very next day, I had to go back and get stabbed in the face again with a swab, and then it came back and they said I didn't have it, but I had all the symptoms. So they said that didn't mean that I didn't have it. It just means that they might have just caught it late after I've already went through. Oh, that thing hurt, bro. That thing was awesome. What was your reaction like when the results came back and it said yeah?
COVID can't be that bad. The doctor called me and she goes, yes, sir. Unfortunately, you have tested positive. Please get better. I was like, please get better? What you talking about? What's going to happen?
I was in my car, and she brought me the papers. She was like, so you tested positive. I was like, oh, all right.
What do I do now?
So I have it? She was like, yeah. Then she walked up or something. She was
In fact,
stay inside
she
for
called
14
me.
days.
She called me and she was just like, please get better. I was like, what you mean? What's going to happen?
There was
I'm
no
scared
direction or instruction.
No, I got prescribed an inhaler and some sort of nausea medication.
I got to take home some papers that said I was positive.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
They gave me papers, but it wasn't anything about that.
Yeah.
But we'll touch more on that with the whole Rocket League thing. But, Kyle, what have you been up to?
I feel so lost.
I know.
I'm confused. I feel so isolated.
What have you been up to?
A lot of Call of Duty right now, to be honest.
That's it? I mean, like, outside. Because, I mean, you've been working, right?
Yeah, I have.
So, what is the whole Corona thing like with you working?
Well, we never stopped at all during work. When Corona first started, we never stopped. We went to one person a cart. If you guys didn't know, I used to work at a golf course. Haha, no longer work there. Woot woot.
I used to work there too.
Broke free.
I used to golf there.
Anyway, so we'd have to go one person a cart, and that was super heavy on the carts, and they were dying a lot, and it was just very hard in terms of it's always turning carts around and lots of people being there. We had probably...
I hope they increased your pay.
No. From what you told me, they didn't. Only a little bit they bumped.
We got a $20 bonus a week, which wasn't really a lot.
So are you getting paid more Chick-fil-A now than you would have been?
I have no idea. Probably not.
How much is
it? I mean, Chick-fil-A
how much do they pay
fast though.
Minimum?
I think they started at $7.75, or they might start at $8.
No, I think they started above 7. I think they start at 8.
I think so.
I mean, Chick-fil-A.
It's guaranteed hours, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's Chick-fil-A.
And I have Sundays off,
which is nice. It's the dream.
But then we went back to 2 people a cart, but there were still lots of people. We had 200 something plus people every day.
You nervous about working at Chick-fil-A?
What?
You nervous about working at Chick-fil-A?
Oh, nervous now.
Did you practice?
You better start practicing on my pleasure.
Your pleasure?
I know.
My pleasure. Just stare in the mirror at yourself.
My pleasure.
Okay, so
when the HR called me, I made the mistake twice. After she said thank you, guess what I said?
My pleasure.
You're welcome.
No problem.
So you're fired.
No.
It's over with.
I went to the in-person interview and I got the job.
Hey, nice.
So
rocking and rolling, and I started.
Since we're on the theme, the motif, if you will, of change, a lot of changes are happening. You guys went through the whole COVID phase, and I bet that was a weird state for you because things were kind of thrown out of whack. And then, Kobe, I know you're a very sociable person, and then both of you had to stay in your rooms for a long time. And then Kyle, I don't know if you mentioned this before on the podcast, but about you going
We both
to,
hate
what was it,
Yeah,
Bible
right.
school, and then you changed up because of, like,
Oh,
perspective.
okay.
So can you talk about that real quick?
So
Yeah,
I was supposed to go to Truett McConnell, which is a college up in North Georgia,
Ooh.
specifically Cleveland, right near Helen. I was supposed to go up there, but your boy's broke.
It'd be like,
Ha, bro, boy game.
And so I was like a whole $7,000 short of going. So I'm staying here for at least a semester, maybe two, and then probably going to a college like Georgia College, a state university pretty much, so I can get a teaching degree instead, and then go to seminary afterwards.
Isn't that
No,
Georgia
that's
State?
It's good.
No, this is
That's
Georgia
in
State.
Savannah.
This is
No,
Georgia.
that's
This is
Atlanta.
Georgia State.
Georgia College
So-
in Millersville.
was
Georgia
that
State
difficult
is-
for you?
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, like,
I mean-
okay, so when it first came into your head, I'm going to Truett McConnell, that's what I'm going to do. Like, having that goal, like, right in front of you is so close, and then things just suddenly veer off into, like, an unforeseen direction.
Well, I was
Like, did you
super.
feel thrown for a loop, or what?
I was super nervous about going in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to have to take student loans to begin with. And student loans really, really, really suck.
Yeah, being
You
this.
gotta
So-
pay those things back.
So I was nervous about that and whether I was supposed to go up there now, next year, next semester.
Like, when to do things, what was
when,
the time?
when to do things, or if I was even supposed to go there. Luckily, God came through with all the answers and that I'm not supposed to go up there because I just don't
Yeah.
have the money to go up there to begin with.
Yeah.
And I had some things work out. I was supposed to play golf up there, but I can still play golf here. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's some plus sides to staying here because now I can still be involved in college ministry like I wanted to be,
Yeah.
and be an active part in this without having to do it over FaceTime or always having to check up this, that, and the other. I can be here, do things like this.
So originally, I wasn't trying to lead the conversation in like this direction, but if you guys don't know, we're re-recording this because we didn't like actually hit the record button in the last podcast, but somehow like it's like literally like falling into the same direction because we're talking about change, and Kyle had this plan, right? And he had the plan to do this specific thing, and then maybe God had another set of directions for him to go, but either path that he could have chosen would have been good. And on the last podcast, we talked about like the discussion about God's plan for us and fate and destiny, and our whole thing about that, like me, Steven, and Kobe and Kyle had over a game of Rocket League on the
No,
internet.
I don't think he was there for that one.
You wasn't there.
No, I wasn't there. For
You
that.
might not have been there for that one,
Yeah,
but
it's
we'll get
just-
into that
Yeah.
later in a little bit. But I just think it's kind of cool how, you know, God's bringing things back because we might have had like a different flow for this podcast, but it's still being like enforced, you know. Either way,
Yeah.
it's how God wants it.
I thought it was missing.
All right, so
How was it whenever you left your job? What was Mr.
how to say it?
How was it whenever you left your job? What was the dude's name again who was in charge?
Tom?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about Russ?
Tom. What was he like?
So Russ is the owner and Tom
Yeah.
was my manager.
Yeah.
So Russ was not happy, like at all.
What was he like? Oh, okay.
So like I said when I put in my 2 weeks, he was like, well, I told him I really enjoyed it here and I'm glad blah 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 blah. I got to work this that and the other. And when I said enjoy, he had this face was like, enjoy. He's like, I wouldn't really say enjoy. We just did what we had to do. And I was like, exactly. I was taken
What?
back. Like,
that doesn't make any sense. But
if I say I enjoyed it. But if you don't think so, I guess you know what I
Wait,
mean.
You didn't think you enjoyed it?
Apparently not, or like that. This job is enjoyable, but I can see all the stresses that comes with it because he owns the place, and so there's a lot of stresses involved. But I enjoyed being there because I laughed a lot. I enjoyed the customers and that interaction, and that's why I think I'm going to really enjoy and fit in at Chick-fil-A because I still have those interactions.
Yeah. So I hear it's a great place for social interaction between like workers and clients and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, right? What was you guys' experience like? Because I mean, we've all been quarantined like in some form, but since you guys had Corona, y'all were like not only quarantined.
No, we were
but
quarantined.
you're like no,
we were
you weren't just quarantined. You were like quarantine.
Yeah.
Like I was quarantined to where I had to like stay in.
Bro,
I wasn't really allowed to go
Facts, I
anywhere,
didn't know
but
what
like
day
I
it
could
was.
still go places. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
were quarantined to where I know Kobe was like upstairs in his room and his like people brought him food. Like he was stuck up.
I had
Yeah,
to rely on
facts.
people for food. But
What was
I
that?
Our
like?
parents, so
When my parents went there, I was starving. 'Cause my
facts,
brothers
facts,
were like, nope.
dude. Listen,
They
so
didn't even
like,
care.
again, I barely ate at all for 2 weeks. I was like malnourished, barely had any water because my parents work.
What
and
symptoms did you have? Do you have
All of
anything
them.
serious? All of them?
all of them.
Nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Yep. No, what?
Commercial.
Okay, let me just go ahead and start this off.
Okay.
I'm not. This isn't like some sort of heartburn medication that you're talking about. For the side
Uh-huh.
effects. I had sore throat. It started out with a cough,
Uh-huh.
and so immediately I went. I was like, oh. like, I mean, that's like as soon as I coughed for the first time, I was like, "Oh Lord have mercy." And then so like the next day, I got a sore throat, and then like the next day, I just felt like my body just was like shutting down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever had have you had the flu? Anybody had the
Yeah.
flu? Imagine the flu.
This
is like the best way I can describe
like
this. Imagine the flu, but like 5 times worse.
Yeah.
So like as soon as you get it, you're just like, oh god. And
Isn't it like a
want
fever
this all the
plus
time.
pneumonia plus?
Yes. So like you can't breathe.
Is that not what it
That
was?
that wasn't like
COVID's
you.
like the opposite.
Ours was different.
Yeah, mine. I had all the symptoms.
It was a whole vacation for me.
It was not for me.
For me, yeah, the way it happened for me.
It was
like,
a vacation for you?
It was like, like my nose was kind of sniffling, and I was like telling my parents at night, I'm like, Kobe, you should probably quarantine. Your nose is kind of sniffling. So I was like, alright. Then I got tested and everything, then I had it, and the whole time it was pretty much like a vacation.
See,
If y'all don't know, this man rarely gets sick.
I
And the
just
one
might
time
be
he
a
gets
kid.
sick with a disease that kills millions of people, he just gets the sniffles. Well, not millions, my bad.
Infected millions.
It was an exaggeration, Kyle. Okay.
It's killed 600,000.
He gets affected with a
Or at
disease
least
that's
that was
killed
millions.
thousands of people,
not-
and he
Hundreds of
gets the
thousands.
sniffles.
I'm not saying COVID is a bad threat and that kills people, but for me, it
Are you
wasn't
an
that bad.
fashy Superman?
For me,
Are you,
it was bad.
You're a pervert?
I still actually have breathing issues, and I can't smell anything. I still can't smell anything.
It's been a while.
And I still have. I've also heard that vision actually gets affected.
I gotta catch up on
and
a lot
I
of
just
shows.
noticed that.
Oh,
the other day.
yeah.
I was watching Twilight, I watched some Notebooks.
Watch Twilight?
Yeah.
Oh, I did get to watch a lot of anime.
Books were good.
That's it.
I did get to watch a lot of anime.
Alright, so we did. Let's go and get into the whole Rocket League thing, right?
Before we do that, can we agree that we're not going to get upset about any of this?
We're not.
Okay. This is
Wait,
gonna
y'all got
source-
upset?
I
Hold
can't
on.
say.
I don't. We didn't get upset.
It wasn't-
We
We got heated.
It was a debate.
It was a debate.
I'm so curious.
A logical
No,
debate.
because I don't want this to turn into that. I hate when that
It
happens.
won't. Oh, well.
But now at least I'm outside, like,
So
source.
excited.
Let's
So,
go.
Can I give some context? Can I give some context?
Oh yeah, sure. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so we're playing Rocket League, and during this time period, all of us are going through something.
Wait, were y'all
mentally.
playing Rumble,
Hey,
Standard?
We were playing, actually playing ranked triples.
Yeah, we're playing ranked while we're
Ranked
on.
afterwards.
So you can imagine how that went.
We were playing ranked triples, and so what happened was we were talking about predestination.
Not
It wasn't predestination.
We're talking about destiny.
It
No,
was
we were
just-
talking about predestiny.
No,
Predestination.
but we were
That's
talking
two
about
different
we're
No,
talking about
I
destiny.
said predestiny. and
We
that's-
weren't talking. I wasn't talking about that.
Can I give
Oh,
my context
we're
before I
already-
continue? This is what I'm talking about.
What do
Okay,
you-
I had brought up the
Alright, go ahead,
idea.
go ahead.
I had brought up the idea of predestination, and then that's when y'all had said, "I don't necessarily believe in predestination, but I believe in destiny."
I think
No,
we
you
were
brought it up in context to our whole discussion. All right, just hold up. Just set the scene before we start getting into all that.
And then Judge Kyle will come on the scene, and both of you will be able to present your cases.
Okay.
I'm the lawyer.
Does he not get a lawyer?
Technically, we're both lawyers defending our cases. Are we just kind of both lawyers
I
for
was there.
ourselves?
I was in the conversation.
You're a witness.
so-
We're
Yeah.
all witnesses. Anyway, so
I'm
go
the
ahead.
jury.
Set the context of
I'm
the
the jury.
argument, and then we'll get into
That's what I'm
predestination.
saying. So like what we were talking about was our destiny in life and how it's like if God has something for you that He says you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I said no, I don't believe that. I believe that He gives us chances, but we decide to take them or not. So it's ultimately our choice. But because I feel like because it's not, to me it's not scriptural to say that He says, oh, by the way, you're going to be a singer for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's not scriptural. He does talk about some sort of destiny, but it's His destiny for. And so again, I don't believe that there is a set destiny in your life besides for Him. The only destiny we have is to worship Him and to know Him.
James.
That's it.
And then
So that's
No,
your case.
And then James said,
Wait, hold up. So I want to get this clear
No,
so
wait.
that way I can understand
Yeah.
where Steven's coming from.
Let's see, yeah.
So y'all were talking.
Mhm.
There is no such thing as predestination.
No.
No, we're just
we
talking
separated
about
from
such thing as
predestination.
Okay.
We
So
separated
there
from
is no such
predestination
thing
to
as
destiny as your God-given destiny.
Yeah.
So
We're
there
not
is
that
no
predestination part. We're
straight
talking about
line like God puts you on this straight path, or
Well, okay.
as the illustration goes, this kind of path, right?
Yeah.
The way I see it is that God doesn't say, okay, here you are, and then put you here.
Mm-hmm.
What He does is I think what He does is He goes, okay, here's a path that you can take. Now, there's many other paths that you can take, because what did He say? The path to heaven is very narrow, but the path to hell is very wide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what does
So
that
what
mean? That
about
means we
Jonah?
have paths that we can take, right? So that means that He's given us choices whether we can
Well, you shouldn't
do
say
things.
that.
That means we are given choices. Say, hey, okay, I can follow this. God gave me this gift. It's like singing, right?
Yeah.
If you've been given the gift of singing, that's a gift. you should use it, right?
Yeah.
And that's your choice.
We were talking about the gifts of the Spirit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're talking about the gifts of the Spirit.
The Zoom we were talking about.
No, that was at Waffle House. Oh no, you're talking about that. Oh yeah.
Zoom.
Sorry. Anyway.
That's
But yeah, to me it's just like I do believe that you should definitely use what gifts that God has given you, but it's ultimately your choice. I don't believe God has said, all right, this is where you're gonna go.
Even if you don't want to, and God gives you a gift,
I mean, you gotta join it. And then all things work together for the good. So
yeah, it doesn't matter either way.
But anyway, talk about
so I heard his side. Now it's time to hear your side, and then I'll put you guys against each other.
Okay, so my side
are we boxing?
He was saying it's your choice to. Yeah, I'm not going to. He said basically, yeah, like he said, it's your choice whether you follow God's plan or not.
Correct.
But from God's perspective, He's eternal, He's all-knowing, omnipotent, omniscient. He knows all. So from His perspective, the path that you're on is set. Like we could say we have freedom of choice, but I mean,
free will.
I feel like yes, we can make choices, but to God, who exists not just in the past and the present, but also in the future, like Him seeing. Okay, the way I explained it, right? It's like editing a video.
Yes.
But God can see the entire length of the video from one point of view.
Yes.
So to God, it's a set path. To us, we feel like we have choice, and God's blessed us with that gift. But in reality, it's a set. God already knows the path that you're going to take.
It's like
it's just a matter of you living out.
It's like Naruto trying to tell Masashi Kishimoto what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like so the creation time to tell the creator what's gonna happen when the creator is the one who wrote the story.
So real quick, something your mom has literally told me word for word. God gives us the choice, right? And there's this path, and we can either follow it or not.
Yeah.
And for us to change that path, we have to ask Him to change that path. Your mom said that word for word.
I kind of, you know what? It makes a little sense.
Ask Him to change that path.
It kind of makes sense, yeah.
Well, okay, but the whole thing is, I mean, even before you're born, God knows if you're going to ask to change your path. So, I mean, even then, the map that God has for your life, like to Him, I would say it's set in stone because He already knows what's going to happen. He's all-knowing. He sees it from an omniscient.
That's prophecy. It's not really destiny.
But to God, it is death. In a sense, it is to God. It is what I mean is destiny. Like I explained before. I'm probably using the wrong words, but like, okay. So have you ever, like I talked about this last podcast, but have you ever like done something and you started doing it and you were kind of nervous about it at first, but then you started doing it, like maybe you had to go perform, and then like while you're up there, you're just like, wow, in this moment, I know I cannot fail. Like, it's set in stone. Yeah. Like, you know that, okay, so whatever you're doing, right? You could be going to kick a ball or whatever. You like, while you're doing that motion, you're like, wow, this is certain it's going to happen. It's set in stone. There's like this sense of, like,
fulfillment.
Fate. There's like a sense of it's going to happen. Like, it's going to. There's nothing going to stop this action from happening. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, and I mean, like, in the small choices, like, okay, I could go either drink tea or water. I mean, I don't think God's like, I'm going to send you to hell if you drink tea over water. I think it's more like it's not the minor stuff. Like, God already knows what you're going to choose before that. But I don't think...
why limit it, though? So if He knows the big stuff, why wouldn't He know the small stuff, too?
I mean, He would know the small stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm trying to say is that God doesn't say, okay, He's going to drink water today, and I'm going to make him drink water. That's what I believe destiny.
Yeah, but I'm saying from God's point of view, He already knows what you're going to choose. So to Him, like what I'm saying is to God, it's destiny.
Well, I can know what your choice is going to be, but you still chose it.
Choice, like for us, it seems like we have power over our lives. We have so much choice and freedom. But to God, He already knows what choice you're going to take. So it's not to God. To us, it seems like there's like maybe 2 options or 3 options or infinite options. But to God, there's one because He knows the future.
Okay, so I have a question to that, right?
Good.
So let's take a list of non-believers, and I'll give that list to you later, right? And they're all once non-believers, we're all presented with the choice to either follow Christ or not.
Yes.
And if God knows, like you're saying, that He knows our choices, then what's the point of us making a choice?
Or salvation.
Exactly. He already knows.
No, but what's the point of it then?
Because God's giving you choice, but even in His infinite wisdom, He still knows the choice that you're going to take.
So then why give us a choice?
Because He's loving. and He wants us to
Well,
live
that's
that
still
way.
our choice then.
But that's
He's given us
still
that
our
He
ability.
loves us enough to give us a choice and give us the freedom to enjoy our lives.
But here's the
to
thing.
him,
But
from
this-
his
wait.
perspective,
Okay, I get what you're saying, but here's the thing. Do you know about the courts of heaven? It's a big thing in the spiritual, very spiritual part of church and asking God for forgiveness. It's very big on forgiving. Okay, right?
Okay.
So the court's basically saying, I have done something wrong and I need to ask you for forgiveness. Why would we need to ask for forgiveness if we're already saying, oh, I'm a Christian, therefore I can go to heaven. That's my destiny.
That's not
because
what I said.
I'm not done yet. I'm saying, like, okay, how do I word this the best way I can?
But
It's like I look at God as this. It's like He's a judge. Let's be clear. He's the only person who can judge us, right? And why would He want to judge us if He already knows what we're going to do? There's no need for a judicial
Because it's
system at
His
that
job,
point.
just who He is.
But why would He need to if He already knows?
Because He can. He's God. I can't
I'm
sit here.
I'm sorry, but
I can't
that's,
sit here and
that's,
act
that's
like I
us
understand
thinking through
God's
our
plan,
worldly
like
mind.
what goes
Not
on in
through
His
our heavenly mind.
I
We're
mean,
never going to understand.
But I mean, you can understand that God is infinitely knowledgeable, so He knows everything. Like there's no
course.
limit to His knowledge.
But I also
so if
believe
there's
that
no limit to His knowledge, He knows our entire lives.
I do believe that as well.
And yes, He loves us enough to give us a choice. But in all actuality, God already knows our future. I'm not saying your path is like absolutely set. Like to us, it may feel like, how do I word this? It's like, what's a good example?
Okay, so can I go back to that?
Yeah,
list
sure.
of
Go ahead. Let me
non-believers?
think of
All right.
this.
So this is a very, very, very extreme list when it comes to like out there people ideas, right?
Yeah.
So let's take Fidel Castro. Do you know who that is?
Of course.
Yes.
Dictator. Yeah.
Dictator of Cuba, right?
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah.
If he's presented with the choice to become a Christian and denies it, right?
That's His choice.
That's his choice.
Yes.
But
Sure.
you're saying
God already knew that was going to happen.
God already knew that was going to happen.
Yes.
But what if he gets presented with the choice again and denies it?
God already knows what He's going to choose.
But then why give us the potential to have a choice?
Because He's not just going to give one person a choice and the other person not a choice.
No,
gave
but that's
Adam
what I'm
and Eve a
saying.
choice.
Then there
Yeah,
is
he
no
did.
choice involved.
That's what I'm saying.
So then why give us the perception of a choice?
Because He loves us enough to let us live that way.
But then
Okay,
what's
no,
the
no, no,
point?
He
hold
loves
on,
us
hold on.
enough to give us the freedom to choose.
Okay, no,
To
I don't agree
choose.
with that because listen, if He wanted us to be happy, and this is going to get kind of
With what you said,
controversial.
I said.
No.
This is going to get controversial, and I don't mean it to be.
Okay.
In that case, He would have never presented that fruit in the garden.
No.
Because if
Yeah,
He already
If He
because that's
didn't
not-
put
no,
that
that's
fruit in
not
the
how
garden,
it
there wouldn't
works.
have been anything to choose between.
Exactly, we would have been happy either way.
So there
We
would have been a
we
choice.
would have been
Because
so
He
happy.
wanted to give us a choice.
I don't see how that makes any sense.
Like James, like I
Okay,
understand.
if God gives us free will and only presents one option, is that free will?
No,
Exactly.
But that's
So
what
it has
you're
to be two
presenting.
choices.
But that's what you're presenting, though.
That's
That's
not
still
what
a
I'm
choice.
presenting.
If there's two
I'm
choices, that
saying
means you make
from
a choice.
from God's perspective, the way He sees things. Things are set in stone. I'm saying from my perspective, it may seem like on earth I have multiple options to choose from, but I can feel secure in the wisdom that God has. He
Okay.
knows the path that
We're trying to think with our brains, pull up Scripture, and then that's the only thing that's going to be able to tell us. Because the only thing that we know that God has said about it is in the Scripture.
Okay, we know He's all knowing.
No,
He's
no,
all
no,
knowing.
no. Talk
He knows
about
everything.
Talk about choice. Let's talk about choice. What does the Bible say about choice?
I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you a hope in the future.
And that's the only. Is that the only verse they talk about?
No, there's more, but I'm not going to sit here and say
So
every
why?
single
saying.
thing.
Read the
So why
context
isn't that
behind that
provided
verse.
for everybody though? Right?
What do you mean? Why isn't that? It is.
No, it's not. Because if somebody, or if God knows the choice of somebody, like for an example, like Fidel Castro, right? Then how is that afforded to him if his choices already know?
Ask God. He knows. Okay, literally. Hold on, listen.
Bro, how is he?
Listen,
how is
listen.
he everywhere at once? We can't explain things. Like
I don't see
like,
how.
obviously, like I don't know. Like I understand like where James is coming from. Like, no, I understand where you're coming from. Like, how could that not be a choice? Like, I was kind of doubting it for a second, but like, God is ultimately all knowing, so He's gonna know what our choice is. So He's like loving enough to think we have. I mean, we do have a choice, but at the same
Then what's
time,
the
He
point
already
of
knows.
spreading the gospel? Then tell me that part.
Because God allows us to do that. He loves us enough to give us a chance to do that.
No, but why?
Because
what's
it's
the
part
purpose?
of worship. You worship. How do you worship? Not just by singing, in actions too. We were put on this earth to worship. It's
Then-
our act of
Then
service
that worship
to a God who loves us
has
enough
no
to give us
real
a chance.
purpose.
Doesn't God
But
know
it
everything?
does.
But it does.
Does God know
If
everything?
if God knows the intent of your heart and your worship is true, and by a form of worship it can be an act or anything you do, and you in your heart of worship, your heart of servitude, your heart, your example of love towards God, you go out and you share the gospel with people, and that's your act of service, that's your act of love towards God, then that counts as worship, and that counts as being put on this earth to worship.
And I agree with that part.
Okay.
However, you're going out to worship
Okay.
to other people
Okay.
who don't really have a choice.
How do they not have a choice? That doesn't make any.
Because you said
Do
they
you
have no
literally-
choice.
Do you, bro?
Here's the verse you're
Well,
talking about. By the
well,
way. I pulled up the verse that you're
Jeremiah
talking about.
29:11.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Jeremiah.
29:11. It's for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for welfare, not for evil, to give you a future and hope.
Plans to prosper.
I don't believe that has anything to do with knowing your path.
To give you future and hope, and then how do people?
But
who
when I was
don't
talking
get-
about that verse, the very sentence before I was talking about me feeling secure in the path in the knowledge that God knows everything, that He knows the path I'm. Okay, all right, let me try to simplify this, because I think everything's getting like too complex. Basically, what I'm saying is, God knows everything from His perspective. Oh, nice. From His perspective.
To say that God doesn't know our choices, to say that there's something that He doesn't know. He knows everything.
Ooh,
But sometimes he chooses to block things out.
what?
What is it? What he's okay? So when
He
we
knows
come,
everything.
He
How,
You
does.
don't know everything.
how does He
does.
choose to block things?
y'all
out?
haven't let me talk. So
Oh,
how would I
God.
tell
Go
you?
ahead. Go ahead.
What does it say when we are born again?
When we're
That He
born
casts our
again.
sins as far as the east is from the west.
Okay.
So He forgets that.
Yes.
It's no longer a thing.
I don't say
Now on
He
Judgment
knows
Day,
it.
that's different.
No.
I'm
He
gonna
doesn't
say
forget our sins. He forgives our sins, but he doesn't forget our sins, but he doesn't bring them back up in our
The
face.
Well, when we're born again, it's like we were a new person, right?
Well, I mean,
So
it's
let's call
like
being
you're
born
a new
again.
person.
Huh?
It's like you're a new person, but God in His infinite wisdom knows what you're going to do.
We've been washed.
As
it's,
he
our blood has
says,
been washed
he
clean,
says
right?
He casts them as far as the east to the west, right? But God knows everything from the east to the west,
But it's also infinite.
and He
But
knows,
he knows
that.
that.
Of course He knows that.
Exactly.
Infinite. But what I'm trying to say is that if He casts our sin as far as the east from the west, what does that mean?
That means He knows everything. That He's
makes
saying
no
if He
sense.
casts, you're saying He casts our sin as far as the east from the west, far away from us, right?
Hold on, let me pull up the scripture so
But
I'm not misconstruing.
God is literally infinite in all capacity. So even if He casts it as far as the east from the west, that's an infinite measurement, right? To us at least.
So what is that significance?
God,
so
that's
what's the significance behind
That
the
he
verse?
knows
That makes no sense.
from the east to the west.
So if He says, "I have forgiven you as far as the, I've cast your sin as far as the east is from the west."
Yes.
I've cast your sin. That means He's taken it and thrown it as far as the east is from
But
the
he
west.
still knows what it is.
He still knows it's
But
there.
it's saying that's like saying, "Hey, I'm not going to hold that against you."
But he,
But he
can't,
doesn't.
he can't cast it
That's what
away
I'm
if he
saying.
ignores it and blocks it out.
Listen, it's like that's exactly what forgiveness is, isn't it? I have taken what you've done to me and I've forgiven you for it.
Yes.
Hey, whatever. It is
But
what
it
it is.
doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Correct.
But again, if that's what you're trying to say is that just because He knows everything, right?
You can
He
necessarily
knows everything. But therefore, we no longer have a choice in life. What he says goes.
Okay, let's
Of
look
course
at
that's what
let's look
happens.
at King David,
However-
right? He committed adultery, right?
Yep.
But he still came to be known as the man after God's own heart. Does that
Why? 'Cause
mean
he
does
had
that
forgiveness. Well,
does that mean that God forgot David's infidelity?
No.
No.
I'm on your
That's-
side.
I
There's
understand
still
where you're coming
consequences
from.
we have to pay for this.
Yeah, you can't face well, okay, a lot of times
That's where
consequences
forgiveness
we
comes
bring
from.
ourselves.
God paid for this.
Yeah. There were
Yeah.
the consequences.
Yes.
Like for
That doesn't
example,
mean God forgets it though.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
the thing, and this is why I'm trying to make this as lighthearted as possible. What I was trying to say is that like what you mentioned with David,
Mhm.
okay, he wasn't never destined to be king.
Yes, it was.
That was not his destiny. He made
What
that
was
choice.
his
That was his
What was
destiny.
his
He was
He could
anointed.
know because he
There was
even said
prophecy
he
that
Then how,
even
God
said
then how did Samuel come out of nowhere?
God gave him
How
a
did all this
choice.
coincidence-
God even said
God
he gave him a choice
choice.
in that cave when he had the opportunity to kill Saul.
No, God literally told Samuel that was the king.
He told him to go into
But he
the
also
city
said-
and
David,
to
David
anoint
didn't
the
just
son
step
of-
up. I'm gonna be
anoint
back.
Can you
the
say
son
what
of
I was
Jesse.
going to say? This
He
is
was-
why I
when he
hate
went
having
to-
arguments.
when he went to pour the oil on his head, God literally said, "No, not this one, not this one, this one." That's destiny.
But that's a path that he chose
That's
for
a
All the
path
brothers-
God had
David
for
was the
him.
last
That's
brother to walk-
destiny.
Yeah.
Like-
You haven't even listened to what I had to say, but you went off before
Okay,
I
go
even
ahead.
finished my sentence.
Go ahead.
Listen, what I was trying to say is yes, that's a path that God set for David.
Yes.
And he says, listen, he opened a door for David, and David took it. Okay? If David did nothing and he killed Saul in that cave, like he had the opportunity to do,
Mhm.
he would have not been king.
Eh?
No, that's exactly what
Eh?
God said to him.
How would you know that? I mean, yeah. Okay.
What does the scripture say?
So, what does it say? Let's look it up because I'm not too sure. Well, I don't remember.
but I do agree.
I remember
with
he
you on
had
that
the
part.
spear in his hand, and
No, like,
he could have killed Saul,
That-
but I
that
don't
was
remember.
David's destiny.
I don't remember anywhere in
That he
scripture
was
it saying
destined
he
to be
couldn't
king
be king if he
because
killed Saul.
of what God had promised to Abraham that his descendants would be.
That's
king.
prophecy.
Which is it's meant to happen.
Exactly.
But it's not
It's destiny.
destiny. Prophecy and destiny are two different things.
Yes, it is.
So,
if something
okay,
is
okay,
prophesied, it's going to happen. It is destined to happen. It's certain.
But destiny, the word destiny, you're more relating to fate instead of destiny.
Okay, so switch the words, whatever. It doesn't change anything.
I still can't get on board with it because it's kind of you
How? You can't get on board. Okay, so do you agree with me? And then we're about to change the subject to like some of the other conversations
Yes,
we
we
had.
can talk about this later. After
But
the podcast.
okay, so do you agree that God is all knowing?
Of course,
So you agree that God is all knowing, which means He knows all.
of course.
So He knows all from point A.
But
to
I
point
also
B.
believe that He doesn't raise robots and He gives us choices.
Okay, He gives us choice. To us, it's a gift. Okay, from our perspective, we're not God. We can't see everything at
Correct.
once. So to us, from our human perspective, it seems like I have the choice to stand up and walk over here or walk over there.
It's three different people.
But God knows
It's the Holy Spirit.
what direction I'm
Jesus,
going to go.
and God. How is
Exactly.
that possible?
Like I agree with you to that point.
Yeah.
And then your next point is where you lose me.
What is my next point?
Where if I choose to follow Christ or not, that technically isn't a choice.
No, I'm saying it is a choice. But if God
but
knows,
like-
but if God knows everything, He already knows what you're going to choose.
Exactly. So then is it really a choice?
You tell me. The only
But that's what we that's what I've
point
been
that
trying
you're
to
making is debatable. What's not debatable is the fact that God
I get
knows
Kyle with that
everything.
point, but I still can't deny that God knows everything.
See, and that's
No
where
one ever
I
denied that.
totally agree
There's like
with
a-
you.
nobody
on that
ever
part.
denied that.
But I mean,
That's
okay,
what
so the question you're posing, we could debate on for eons, but the fact doesn't change that God knows. So He knows who's going to get saved. and
So
who's not.
is that really a choice or not?
I don't know. We can talk about that all
Wait,
day.
here's the thing. What you're saying is that by saying God knows everything, that He has destined certain people for hell.
I'm not saying He's destined certain people. for
That's
hell.
But then
exactly
that
He
would have
knows. He knows whether certain people are going to hell.
But
or
no,
not.
no. See, now you're contradicting yourself.
How am I
You're talking about destiny and that He has destined you for something. That's the whole reason I brought this up.
Okay.
I don't
He's
think he
destined you for something.
I
He
never
said it is-
contradicted
I haven't finished
myself.
my
He
I
said,
still haven't finished my sentence yet.
okay.
He has destined you for that. That's exactly what I said in
Okay.
the beginning. Is when I said He has destined you for something.
Okay.
Okay. And your argument was to say that He knows everything. Of course He knows everything. It says it in the scripture, so therefore I believe it. I know that He knows what I'm going to do, but that's not destiny. He hasn't said it. He hasn't said, okay, Kyle, you're going to go to college here, and you have no choice then. That's destiny. God knows you're good.
Okay, but didn't we just talk about using, like, changing up the word, not using destiny anymore? So it doesn't, we can use the term destiny, fate, whatever. God knows what's going to happen. So yes, to us it seems like we have a choice. And to us, that choice is our reality because we have the option to make many choices a day. A matter of fact, if you took away our choices, we just stand there. Like you said, we'd be robots. So the option to have choice is our life. So it literally encapsulates the way we live. So it's hard for us to imagine reality without that. So,
But see that's the part where like you almost have me, but then you
okay,
lose
but I
me
don't
on
understand
certain-
how I'm losing you because, okay.
Do you want me to like try to explain how you lose me?
Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but once again, everything you're saying is opinion. But what we know
But
about,
that's not opinion though.
Well, that's
Yes,
also
it
your
is.
opinion too, as well.
How?
Because you can't say that what you're
My
saying
whole
is
argument is
actual.
okay. My whole case is based off the fact that God knows everything, an unchangeable statement. Your fact is based off opinions you have.
No, it's not. I'm
Yes, it
basing
is.
myself off of scripture. It literally says nothing about destiny once in the while. It says
I
it
know.
once-
Okay, I
No,
already
yeah,
talked about not using the word destiny or fate anymore.
Yeah, but this is what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, I'm gonna say this again, so I want us to say it wrong.
Mhm.
Okay, God has never said, "Hey, you are gonna go there, and you don't have a choice in it."
I never said He did say that. I'm
That's
saying
what I'm
He
trying to
does
say.
know that.
There's no
I'm
such
just
thing
saying
as
to us
you have a destiny.
it seems like our path isn't set, but God, in God's knowledge, to Him our path, He knows our path. Like, okay, maybe I'm using the word set and it's getting like the wrong connotation.
So, question: if He
but
knows our path, then why does He give us multiple paths to take?
it's because He loves us and wants us to have that option.
But
He wants us to be able to enjoy our lives.
So
How
then
does that
what's
make
the
us
point?
enjoy our lives? Why wouldn't He
You
make
tell
us successful?
me.
No, but like I'm not
What
saying
do you-
like what's
okay,
the point
okay,
of
what can
options.
what
I
can
just
what else can I say?
okay. So right, you're saying like, and I'm agreeing with you in this point that God is all knowing. We've established that is
Okay,
that
yes.
is our foundation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So then, what is the point of choices if God knows everything?
And I know what you're gonna say.
Because
I
He
know what you're
loves
gonna say.
exactly.
And I agree with that part that He loves us.
Okay,
right?
and if He loves us, He's not gonna let us just sit around and be. If He gives us, if our life's purpose
Why send
is
Jesus
to
then?
worship.
Why
yes,
send
it's to
Jesus?
worship Him.
Well, okay, even if you're talking about why did He send Jesus, from the moment in the Garden of Eden when we messed up. He already knew he was going to end up sending Jesus anyway.
Why would he
which was part of
sacrifice his
plan.
own son for people who made the choice to sin?
Okay, some people. Okay, look, people have the choice or have the option to make the choice to follow him or not.
Exactly.
God already knows your heart from the beginning of time. He's the one that made you. He knows.
And so, okay.
His
Hold
outside
up.
perspective. What do you want me to say?
To play on that, right?
Okay.
If he made you,
Okay.
then why would he make you not be able to follow him?
He didn't make anybody not able to follow him. I'm saying.
Wait.
Okay, let me finish. I'm not saying he didn't. Okay, you guys are getting into. Okay, from you guys' point of view, it seems like I'm saying that God literally made somebody to follow him or not. What I'm saying is God knows from an outside perspective our entire life is mapped out. To us, it seems like we have choices, but to God, he already knows. And then you're going to bring up the point about salvation, and the whole cycle is going to start all over again.
But see,
Because it just doesn't make sense.
So
How does it not make-
Hold up.
Alright, hold on.
I'm going
Maybe-
to take
maybe-
what you said, right?
All right, cool. Let's hear from Cody, because
Hold up.
I mean,
I
we
want
already-
to take what you said, right? That our whole life is mapped out, right?
yes, to God,
Yes.
yes.
And so then why do we follow him or not?
Because he gives us the choice.
But if it's already mapped out,
You tell me. You're the one asking a question that can't be proven by any scripture in the Bible, and I'm making a definable statement.
but then there is no choice involved.
So we can go on and on about the question you made, but that doesn't change the undefinable truth or the indisputable truth.
So you would probably choose a Calvinist view.
No, I'm not saying predestination or anything. What I'm saying is God, to me, if I'm not being fatal, I'm not trying to choose a fatalistic point of view or anything.
But
what
God
I'm,
knows our path.
What
and
I'm
is
saying,
all-knowing.
yes, God, yes, he knows our path. He's all-knowing. So whether I choose to go to music school or ministry school, God already knows that. I may be panicking about which direction I choose, but to me, all I'm saying is that knowing that God knows my path and he knows what choice I'm going to make,
So then he knows if you're going to accept him or not.
yes, he does.
So why send Jesus?
Because he's God. Okay.
So sacrifice yourself, because that, to me that just doesn't. If I'm an all-knowing God, right?
Okay.
And I know exactly what path you're going to take.
You're not though.
But
Neither is
play
he,
with the
neither are you.
play with the hypothetical.
That's what you're
right?
trying to
Okay.
say.
Right? If
Even
I,
if
How
we
can
do,
we be
even
hypothetical if we're
we
not
can't put
hypothetical?
ourselves in God's shoes.
So why are you trying to say that?
I'm not putting myself
We're
in
just
God's shoes. I'm saying from a
We're just
human's
saying that.
perspective, it seems like I have a choice, but God knows everything I'm going to do. So to us, in His love, He gives us the ability to choose, but He already knows. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm putting myself in the shoes of God. I'm not saying God made me a certain way, whether I'm going to heaven or hell. I am saying, from a human's perspective, it seems like I have a choice, but God already knows. So yes, I do have the option to pick different things, but God already knows what I'm going to choose.
That's still not
And
destiny.
okay, we already talked about
Yeah,
not
but
using
That
the
was the
word
whole
destiny.
conversation in the first place.
Okay, so even halfway,
How are
10
you-
minutes ago, we stopped using the word destiny.
we kind of moved on from that.
Whether I-
That's
what-
what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
This was
but
the
whether
whole
or not
argument
I
I
has
used
the
in the
word
first place.
destiny or fate or
No, we're talking
not,
about
it
choice
doesn't
now.
change the point I'm trying to make.
Choice has a part of destiny.
Okay, so why you keep bringing the word back into the
Because
debate?
that's what started the conversation.
Okay, and we removed it 10 minutes ago.
So this is where you two are confused because we.
I'm not confused
No.
at all.
No. Where you?
No. I'm not confused.
James, hold on. Let me.
Okay. I think we should change something.
Because technically we already had changed subject from what Steven wanted to talk about.
No,
to
that was
begin
what you wanted.
Have
That's what he
we?
wanted to talk about. That he wanted to talk about with the conversation we had in Rocket League. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we talked about.
And it went the same exact way that it just happened just now.
Exactly, and nothing has changed.
No, the reason he was trying to change it from destiny because you were talking about like the meaning of destiny, and you were like that goes along with fate. So it was like, all right, take destiny.
No, I didn't say it goes along with fate.
No,
I
you
said
were-
it more.
you talked
What
about
he's
fate.
saying is fate.
You're talking about how it's
But
interchangeable with fate.
Like
You
we
said
were
destiny
worried
is
about
not
the
fate.
word of fate and destiny. Like take that out.
I
We're
mean,
just talking
the only time that the word destiny is used was it did
That's
say
what we
technically
changed for destiny.
And we
predestined.
took it out.
That's why we took that out.
Because and again, that was my whole argument. Right? Was the word were you trying to say that because the word destiny implies that someone has set you a path that you are going to go on.
Okay.
That has never happened.
Okay,
to
so
be-
I
besides
remember
what he
the
says,
word.
I'm
To
gonna
be
change
honest,
that
to be honest, it's like I agree with both things. Like, how could we have a choice and God still knows? but I know at the same time that God knows everything.
That's because we're trying to use our human knowledge.
I can't deny that God doesn't know.
We can't even try to fathom what He knows.
Exactly. So
How
you can't fathom that He knows that what James is saying is agreeable.
So like
it's hard to believe, but you know it's true.
Something
God
to, like,
knows what we're gonna be. God knows what's gonna happen.
That's still our
would
human
be
brain
Jonah,
still trying to figure
right?
this out.
Jonah
That's
going
just
to
the
Nineveh.
fact that
That
we-
would stand
God
up.
Yeah, that's why I brought up
everything.
that point.
Again, we're still trying to use our human brains.
So-
I do agree with.
So to help James's
We're
argument,
using our human brains in the image of
Let him,
God.
hold on, let him talk.
God
He's
made our
trying to
brains in
understand
the
something.
image of His. But we're not God.
so like to help James's argument, because that part makes sense to me, right?
Yes.
Let's take the story of Jonah going to Nineveh, right?
That was choice. 100%.
But he went the wrong way, but guess
He
where
went
he
the wrong
still
way.
went?
He still ended up going to church.
However,
However,
that was
what?
the path that God had set. And He still made, listen,
And
eventually
even
He
when
made
tried
the
to
choice.
run,
And even when he tried to run, he still ended up in the same spot. It just took him 3 days longer.
Okay, so now I want you to explain
That boy
to me
tried to run.
how
He was trying to run.
do you think that was destined?
Yeah. Like I told you, I agreed with them.
Okay,
that
if your definition
David,
is set path that you have to take, then yes, in that case.
then David was set to be king because it was prophesied.
I can't see.
Jesus
I
was sent to
can't
be the
wrap.
Messiah. That was
That's
destined.
prophesized.
Well, Jesus is God.
Okay.
But it was prophesied from
We also
Old
see it in
Testament.
David and John.
Prophecy. Here's the only thing that I can agree with you on that is I can agree when there's prophecy. That's because that's God. That's God saying, "Hey, I'm making this happen." That's prophecy.
Okay.
But when we make human decisions, because we have our own minds, but when
So
God
you're
says
saying
this
God
is
isn't
going to
sovereign
happen,
overall, even our decisions?
what?
So you're saying God has no control over? Okay, I understand.
Well,
what
if you're a
saying.
Christian, you shouldn't have to worry about that because you already have. He's already
I don't
given
know.
you the book of law that you're supposed to abide by.
Mm,
So that's your decision to abide by that or not.
I feel like we
So
can
why
talk about-
have the Bible if we, if of all this? This is what I'm trying to say is that
I think
there's
this is
so much that we have at our.
I think this is a topic for after the podcast that we can really dive deep down.
By the way, we
Yeah.
don't hate each other. It probably
No,
looks like
but
that.
these
I don't hate
conversations-
anybody here.
these
Yeah, this is just like
conversations-
all of our like the way our
Yeah.
personality. Like when the
No one
camera goes
cares.
off, like when we were just chilling playing Rocket League,
Dude,
we were
no
still
one
doing
cares.
this too.
yeah.
We
So-
can't. We love each other no matter what, and we're still gonna like dab each other up at the end.
Yeah,
of this.
and like honestly, I already talked to Kyle about this too, but I've learned a lot more from having discussions with these guys and like going over concepts than I
So
have
good at some churches.
like at some churches or like on some occasions. And most occasions,
Yeah.
I've learned more from like
I agree.
having like encouraging intellectual arguments or debates, and then going into scripture, seeing what it says, and then growing from that.
Well, because we all love Jesus and we want to
Yeah.
know Him more. That's the thing about being a Christian is that, and this is why I don't want to say I hate some religious mindsets.
Yeah.
It's the poison in me. It's because you think you are so comfortable in who you are, and you think, okay, just because I'm here, I'm gonna stay here, I'm gonna be fine. Well, God always wants you moving. He always wants you getting closer to Him because
Yeah.
eventually you're gonna start slipping away, and being comfortable is never a good thing in Christianity. This is why it's good here because we challenge each other. It's like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with what you said, and this is why. I pull up a scripture, and then we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
This is why I think this is church.
Yeah.
This is what church I think is not arguing, but this is what church is.
And
meant to
then
be.
me and Kyle already talked about this over the phone, but we talked about what was it? We had that really
Part.
yeah.
It was
talked
long. It
about
was
a lot.
long.
Oh, it was about people being afraid, like churches being
Oh,
afraid to talk
yeah,
about
so-
like the sensible, like the top, like
the politics involved in church.
yeah, church
There's
politics.
so
oh
much
my
of it.
goodness.
So much of
And
it.
there's like so many people that are like afraid to like we want to bring this person close and love on them. So we're not going to confront them
Offend
in their
them.
sin yeah, exactly.
And
Here's
it's-
the thing. And can I bring this up real quick? Because this really frustrates me too. We all have the same tool.
Yeah.
It's called the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you're going to say that you are a leader in a church, and if you're not preaching what this says,
yeah.
you're preaching what this says.
Yes.
And that is never,
Or
that's
what this.
not biblical.
Or
and
this.
You're preaching out
Or
of your
this.
flesh.
Or this.
No, facts. You're preaching out of your flesh.
Yeah.
Stop preaching
Yeah.
out of your flesh. And if people get offended, they can leave. That's their choice.
Yeah.
If they want salvation and they really want to get closer to God, this is the way to, not my phone, but the Bible.
Not my phone.
Yeah.
Not my phone, but the Bible. And again, the word is extremely important.
I mean, this is something me and James talked about over the phone. We were talking about mega churches, especially here. We were talking about mega churches, but we're not going to name any names because that's rude. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But there's mega churches all over the country and all over the world that are just like this. That are what I would like to call money hungry or
Yeah.
Yes.
or attention heavy. When I say attention heavy, I mean they're member orientated. If we do not have the members, we do not get the money, we do not provide the services.
Yes.
But
Which I get. That's
Like
somewhat
it's operated
scriptural.
as a business model.
Well, God says to tithe and to do things like that.
Yeah,
that's
but
how
not
they get bigger. And
But
that's how
that
they-
becomes
They're
their
not
idol.
focused.
Yeah, once
Yeah.
you start saying, hey, we can't go on this missions trip because blah, 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 or just trying to make that, you're always asking for
Putting
stuff
money
on
at the
stage.
forefront of
Yes.
everything, and then putting
Yeah.
Jesus behind that.
Correct.
Because listen, I mean, especially in, I hate to say this, a lot of mega churches.
Yeah.
Again,
Not even
I won't
like
even
small
say it.
churches too.
But
Yeah.
and especially when I see, the pastor just like, especially before the cameras turn on.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
always just like, guys, okay, we really need you guys to step it up this week.
Yeah, making
Listen,
it a
I'm giving you
career
what I
instead
have.
of a calling.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
when he's begging you for money,
Yeah.
it's just like, no, the Bible says to give you what I can, or 10%. That's
Yeah.
how my tithe is 10%. Okay? If I can't, sometimes I can't provide more than that. And, maybe I'm struggling through something. When you're asking, that to me, that's like, okay, where's your mindset going on at stage?
Yeah.
Are you a vessel? Because you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be led by the Spirit, because that's you're being held as a vessel to deliver His word to save people from evil.
And then also on that note, we also talked about sermons, right?
Bro, sermons.
Like, okay,
like,
so
this
there's
got me
there's a
fired
lot
up.
of different ways you can spin a sermon,
Yes.
but you can only hear the story of Jesus dividing the fish. Like,
Yo, somebody give me a high
So
five.
many
Thank you
times.
so
Like,
much.
what
Yes,
we-
come on.
bro,
you.
what we
Yep.
need is like real discussions on sex. Like,
Yep.
like why did God make things that way?
Not-
how to deal with heartache.
Not being
how to,
afraid to question and raise
yes,
up questions.
why are you the person God made you to be? Why do you act the way you act, and then how you change that behavior? Yes, Bible
Those
stories
stories
are very
are
applicable,
important, and those
but
parables are important,
You can only tell those like so many I say you use those stories
to build the foundation.
to build the foundation of what God's put on your heart. But there's so many different ways you could spin that. Like, I've heard the same Bible story spun the same exact way so many times.
yes.
Where there's so many different ways you
Dude,
can branch
okay,
out
so
with that.
like,
And churches are afraid to branch out with it
dude,
because
facts.
they want to.
I went to my old
bring in
church.
people.
I went to my old church, and
Yeah.
they for like I'm talking 6 months.
Yeah.
Talked about struggling, and he used probably the same verse about Jericho, the walls of Jericho,
Yes.
and how they went around that wall.
For 6 whole months.
For like 6 months.
Oh.
It was a series that he did for like it
About
felt like
going
6
around
months.
the
I think it was
wall?
like 3 months in total. He did it for like going around the wall.
Y'all
Just talking
in
about
the
the
wilderness.
struggle. I'm like, come on, dude. I know we struggle. How do we get out of it? You know what I mean?
Bro.
It's like, Jesus is awesome. I love it. Thank you. But how do I get out of my struggle that I'm in?
Like, there's two
Because
sides.
everybody
to
has
the
different
approach.
struggles.
You can either talk about, okay, you're stuck in your sin, and then not bring the whole Jesus redemption side, or pastors will preach the whole redemption side and never talk about how you're flawed.
And I
It's
feel like-
yeah, go ahead.
But I feel like these conversations that we're discussing about, like let's take for instance, talking about homosexuality in
Yeah.
church, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And stuff along those lines, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they're held in these types of environments of either closed off or one-on-one conversations and not presented
Yeah.
to the body.
Can I be honest with you? And I hate to
Real
be that
growth
one
happens
guy.
outside of the church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I hate to be that one guy.
Mhm.
But as far as me finding a home church,
Mhm.
the one that I'm at now, and this is why I travel so far, is my pastor recently has been very open about what he believes about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's not been scared. He says, I could go to jail right now because a lot of the people because apparently there's a lot of churches about separating between church and state, and he was encouraging people to vote because of all the terrible things that some people are voting for.
Yeah.
Anyway, I won't get into that. But he was saying, please vote this coming up November because we need, as Christians, need to really check our ideals. And he was saying that, do I love homosexuals? Absolutely. Do I think it's wrong? Yes. And he was talking about how and it was to me, I was like, dang, bro, like that hit, because it's like you're finally being able to feel like there's somebody's having consequences for what they're doing, and it's the church's responsibility to hold the world accountable for these things. It's like, where are we at? Where have we been? Why has Christianity become
There's gotta
such a
be
small
some
religion?
sense of, like-
Why? Because the church hasn't held responsibility for the things that they've done.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some sense of like justice, or there's some sense of, I would say, moral obligation to do what's right. Like, there's got to be some energy driving. Like there's got to be some notion to move or to make a difference or change the world, or like something there.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
They forgot about that.
what do you do? Are you just like telling stories about a man who came down and then going back home?
Yeah, dude.
Like there's got to be some evidence.
Do you know
of
how I
action.
got saved?
So actually, I've never heard that.
So when I was younger, I was raised in church.
Mhm.
I turned 14 and I was I was agnostic for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Only because I was just like, if there's such a good God, then why do all these bad things happen?
Yeah.
Nobody had an answer for me. Because they were like, sovereign God, you don't know his plans.
Oh yeah, quick.
What do you mean I don't know his plans? Why do bad things happen?
If you guys have any hard questions, like send them in to us. And
most
it'll be
definitely.
great material
Yeah,
for the
love you.
podcast. We would love that.
Yeah.
But anyway, as you were saying.
So, and I was searching. I literally looked up every religion just to see who had answers. So I studied, just to see science. Let's just say, so atheism. I was like, okay, so obviously science has to have an answer for some of this stuff. And of course they do, but it's not the real answer. Okay, it's like, oh, well, we can explain natural disasters by the climate. Okay, it doesn't matter. To me, it just seemed false. It was just like, there's so many more questions I'm left with.
Yeah, there's so much deeper you can go.
I looked into Buddha just to see how people peace, I was like, that makes no sense either.
Yeah.
It was just like, I kept feeling empty the more I looked. And so I was like, okay, I've been a Christian all my life. Let's look more into this. And I knew there was a God, so I kept looking. And eventually, I went to a church, and they described it. I was like, that's what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
They finally described what that emptiness inside of me was.
Yeah.
It was because, it was the lack of understanding that I had of the Word. If I would have studied the Word when I was younger, I guarantee you I would not have those questions. But someone came up to me and described, bad things happen not because God did it. It's because Satan did it, and God couldn't put his hand in it.
Yeah.
A lot of times there are consequences for sin. God destroyed cities.
Yeah.
But, some people was like the wrath of God. It's like, yes, sometimes it was, and sometimes it was the sin that destroyed them.
Yeah, sometimes it was
their
actions that brought
exactly.
them.
So when people say God's wrath, I'm like, I don't think God put his fist on the city to kill it. No, their sin destroyed themselves. Yeah. And it's like, I finally started to realize that. I was just like, God, you're amazing.
Yeah.
Like you have literally every single it's like our brains are so wired to think a certain way. And as soon as we figure out that there's a spirit that can also, it's like this giant being who puts everything, hey guys, I just gave you a world. And we're like, no, what are you talking about? No, and we just we get this mindset that's impossible.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you embrace that, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I have a God that's looking over me, and no matter what you do to me, I'm invincible practically.
Yeah.
If I die, I gain. But if I stay alive, I'm good too. So it's like, you can't destroy me. That's awesome to me.
On that note, and Kyle, remind me about the whole name thing. Remind me to do that at the end.
What do you mean the whole name thing?
For the podcast that we came up with.
Remind
me at the end. Later at the end.
Yeah.
But I wanted to hit on what I talked about on purpose last week, and then see if you guys had anything to add, because you guys had to leave a little bit early, so we can kind of further that discussion, and then we'll have some announcements about some really big things that are happening and are coming, and then we'll close out with the podcast. But anyway, so I remember you guys laughed at this last time, but remember that example with the swan that I used or something?
The swan.
It was like that Japanese proverb.
Yeah.
It was like the swan that looks like it's gliding around like so beautifully on the surface is like fiercely kicking its legs underwater, like trying to stay afloat. And it's like from our point of view, like we look at rappers, like famous Christian rappers or whatever, like anybody that we see is above us, right? Mm-hmm. And to us, it looks like they're doing everything so effortlessly. So like behind the scenes,
they're constantly working. Yeah.
So I don't know what it was, and this does relate to the whole swan analogy I used. But one day I was just sitting there like playing like my game or whatever, and like I think while I play, so like I'm not really focused. I was just like in the training mode or whatever, and I was just playing, and there was like this sense of hatred, and like you guys know me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a pretty calm person, and like I've never really felt like that level of hate, like anger, anything. Like it was like a deep-seated hate. Like it felt like it was consuming, like it would eat me alive.
Yeah.
And like I went through like days of not knowing what to do, or like I was like, can I really live with this hatred? Like can I really? And part of me like wasn't giving into it at all. And I know that was like the God in me, but like part of it was like literally crying out, like, God help me not get into this.
What was the hatred towards?
We'll get into that later.
What you mean?
But if you know, you know. But it was...
Is that what I think it is?
Probably.
Alright.
Okay, it went from a sense of why this happened to me to like anger.
Yeah,
and that's such an easy transition to make.
I got you now.
Like anger for like how could you not see the person that I was, and then like see like how your actions would impact me. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
I got you now.
Yeah. So that whole thing happened, right? And I came out of that and I did some soul searching, and then I don't know what it was, and that's why I brought up that whole thing about fate or destiny. Throw those words aside, call it what you want. But it was like I was just sitting there and I was like crying out to God. I was like, why? And like, why am I feeling this? Remove it from me. Remove this curse of hatred. And I was just sitting there, and like a song came to me too, and I wrote it down. But then it was like this sense of like everything, like it was like certainty about like the future. Like before, I kind of lost motivation with like the whole NoDream thing, and I didn't lose it like too much, but I wasn't like going like I used to.
And I noticed
but like, yeah, after that happened though, it was like there was a sense of certainty. Like I have to do this. I'm running out. I have to make a difference. There has to be a change that I have to make. And it was like there was a sense of purpose like instilled in me, and like I just don't know how to describe it. So has anything like that happened to you guys? Like where you felt like you were down and out, and then like out of nowhere you got like this boost of like confidence and like energy.
Yeah, you guys were the ones who helped me through that. Like literally during quarantine, so this past week, I literally just felt useless. Because I don't know if y'all have ever just sat down for too long. You just feel like I need to do something.
Yeah, I felt that.
And I couldn't do anything.
And especially with you having Corona too.
Exactly. So my mind was just like, okay, when I get out of here, what am I useful for?
Yeah.
So you just keep sitting there, and these thoughts keep pacing back and forth, and that's what the enemy does best. It's like to manipulate.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting there and just thinking, what am I useful for? What do I do when I get out of here? And you know, God gave me this gift. I have made many sacrifices to get here, to be able to, you know, lead worship in places and to make music with you guys. I made sacrifices in order to do that. And so when you and Johnny and Kobe had, you know, just encouraged me and said, no, keep going. You got this far, try again, keep going.
Yeah.
It was like, maybe I should keep going. Maybe I should keep doing this. Maybe it's just the enemy trying to get to me again. Because what if this is the path that God has set for me? And he said, hey,
and you
I've given you this gift. Can you go already?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here, no, I don't want to go yet. And I'm like, why would I miss this opportunity? And so if I fail, I fail, but why would I stop trying? You know what I mean?
That goes back to like what we talked about. This is so funny because this is season 1, part 2. Well, season 2, part 1, episode 1 of like our podcast or whatever. But if you flip back to like the very first episode, we're talking about what we're about, and all this like builds back to that about our purpose and like knowing our purpose and being able to go after that and aligning ourselves, our purpose, our will with God's will and His purpose. And since we talked about God is all-knowing, that we know that our path is right because He's God. He doesn't fail. He don't miss. He's God. He don't miss. So I actually trademarked that actually.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, but we know we have a sense of certainty that whatever we do, whatever we try, no matter how far out there it is, that it cannot fail because our God is for us and He's with us, and that's just so empowering. And onto that, well, before I talk about our song that dropped.
So like to add on.
Anybody? Yeah, I was gonna say anybody else have anything else to say?
And so like for me, it's the whole speaking part, like becoming either a youth pastor or a pastor, blah 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 blah. Right? And then having time and time again where I'm questioning, is that what I'm supposed to do? Time and time again, God has given me affirmation after affirmation. And then possibly going to Truett was one of those leaps. Was I supposed to take this? And I talked about earlier. Was I supposed to jump and go to Truett? Was it now or was it supposed to be later? Or am I not even supposed to go there? And I got my answer though. I had to go through things to finally get my answer. And I stressed over it. I did everything else about it where it just brought me down in a place. But then when I got my answer, there was relief in that answer.
There's peace in that.
And a lot
I
of
think
times,
God puts us through that though.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, God kind of does that just to be like, you know, sometimes I'm gonna give you a lesson on how to learn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes He teaches us so we can learn how to teach ourselves. And it's really weird how God does that.
You start questioning your path and then you go through like this whole mental thing, but as long as you can get through that.
And then you get your answer and you're like,
exactly.
God, I solved the whole time.
That was so dumb.
Yeah, He was like right in front of your face.
I was worried about that.
Yeah, dude,
like,
God dangles it in front of your face. She's like, I'm waiting.
It's just like the
I'm
little
waiting.
things.
I'm waiting. I'm
like
waiting.
God controls everything. We're worried about such small details.
Dude, that's why I've literally stopped because I know that God's got me.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm not going to try to bring this again, but I don't necessarily. I know that I have to choose what I do in life.
Yeah.
However, I do believe that God's going to guide me.
And it feels so
I think
much
He's going to hold my
better,
hand through it. You know what I mean? I feel like no matter even we could both be right in this situation when it comes to that.
Yeah.
The path is still there to heaven. No matter what I do on this earth, He is still there holding my hand.
Yeah.
I'm still going to have peace no matter what.
Yeah.
He's still there. He's my Father.
You're safe in His
Exactly. I'm safe no matter what. He's not going to let me fail.
like you've heard me use this analogy before, where like we're in a forest, right?
Yeah.
And it's completely fogged out, completely dense and
The
foggy,
trees.
and we
It's like
can't
that story
see.
Pastor Jeff was telling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can't see further than our hand, and that's all we get to see, right?
Yeah.
But God is like a bird above the trees
Big bird.
and can see
Yeah.
it all ahead.
Yeah.
That like can see the entire way
Yeah.
out of the trees, out of the forest. Even though there's a big fog that we can't see through, he can.
Yeah.
It's just because he knows, and especially when it comes to other people. I think that's the hardest part we have this year is like dealing with other human beings. It's like, oh, you did me wrong, or oh, why would you do this to me? But it's like the scripture says, plain and clear, we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That's because yeah, it's like we have to understand what that means. It's because some people have just they've learned wrong. They don't know better.
Yeah.
Or some people have just chosen that path. And it's like it's hard to believe, but sometimes you just have to go, I gotta get
Wash
out.
hands.
I have to wash my hands of it, and that's when you just go, okay, well, I'm gonna wash my hands and hold God's. You know what I mean? Because that's all you can do. And then as soon as you realize that, you start to accept that, you're like, life is a little bit easier than it used to be.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're talking about that, right? Kobe, I have something to say.
Yeah.
And like I wanted to try this. Like last season, we did that whole thing where we went around and said things we like saw on each other and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've grown so much since then. So I wanted to do that again, but I'll save it for the next episode. But for now, like Kobe, I just want to say, like last season, like I remember you were talking to all of us. Like everybody in here has like a role. We all have jobs. And Kobe was like, I'm not too sure about that. Like I'm skilled at a lot of things, but I'm not too sure about what I want to do with the group and all that. But like even then, you were like still putting an effort and work. And it was Friday night, and I was just laying on my couch, reading my manga as I do, and I get a phone call, and it's Kobe. And I was like, huh? Kobe don't call me, but I was like, Aaron, I'm almost finished with this chapter, so let me finish this. So I kept reading, and he called again. I was like, oh, Kobe called 2 times in a row? Must be urgent. So I answered that jump, and Kobe and Steven, they're like, hey, y'all, listen to this. I was like, boom, he hit the space bar. It opens, Steven's rapping. I'm like, oh, jump, okay, I'm used to this. Steven's always rapping. And then,
Bang, Kobe.
I hear Kobe. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I was like, what? Double. I was like, that's Kobe, boy.
Oh my gosh.
What? And like, I knew he could rap, but like that? And I was just so surprised and shocked and all that.
Thanks, bro.
And like that day we like came up we came with the name from him. It was like KJ or whatever.
Kid KJ.
So he's now christened as Kid KJ. Before he was Kobe, but now he's Kid KJ.
That's me.
So you hear us refer to him as that. But it's just so encouraging watching you, because you went from being on a song once to, for like the next few days after I called you, every single time, hey, I'm recording something, I'm working on something.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm writing something. Can you help me write something real quick?
Imagine how I feel about both of you.
Yeah, like
See, I've been on this journey and trying to convince both of you to do something
Yeah.
for a year and a half.
yeah, like I would
Okay.
write and I could do it, but I never like recorded or anything. And
Dude.
Steven, you two were always
Bro,
like,
I'm always
"Why
on
would
you about
Jay?
it. Always on you
Why
about
would
it.
you
I
record it?"
bro, I was like, dude, you have all these songs.
They're like,
just
these are
record your
good,
voice.
dude.
Listen, I want to make this very clear. Like I said, I've been doing this for 3 years. I'm a full-time musician, and I'm just now being able to get paid from it. Okay.
Yeah.
I am on it. I'm trying to be on it all the time, and I literally I've told him 1,000 times, I will come over here with all my equipment
And he did.
record a
That's
song.
how that was made.
So
in
I
his
took
room.
my
Right, he
PC,
did.
which is this big, I drug it in his room, sat it down, and said, "You're recording
Yeah.
a song." And I was so giddy, and I looked like a little girl after
It
he
was
did
lit.
it.
And
I
then
was
My
jumping
Life,
around.
right? My Life. He literally played that beat, and we sat there, and we were literally just vibing off each other. Like the lyrics just came out instantly, and we if you guys would not believe, we recorded that in like.
It was
in
probably 20 minutes.
Yeah,
20
like
minutes to
at
30.
most, not very
The
long.
ad-libs took the most time because you guys were goofing off. But it was
Oh
funny.
yeah, this man. Bro, I want to save that
He
for
was
like a funny thing or
Yeah.
something. But yeah,
Kobe immediately took blame for that. He was like,
this man kept making me laugh mid bars, and we had to like restart
"Oh, it's
it.
so funny though because what you said."
Stop! We're saving it.
Please go back and listen to the song and figure out.
We're
what
saving
we're
it.
talking about.
Yeah, we're saving that story for next time.
No, I want
But-
to figure it
no,
out. Please
so-
go and write down in the comments
Yeah.
if you know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, and remind me, name change and then song
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end because we're about to close out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
but,
do you want to like? Should we post the song at the end for like a link or something like that?
we will.
We
Like
will.
as the outro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As
but
the
this,
outro.
like right now,
Okay.
I'm talking about like the atmosphere while we're creating the song. So we were creating the song, right, and we were like just vibing, and like you know how I talk about that sense of certainty.
Yeah.
It was like when I wasn't in front of the mic, like I wasn't actually doing what I was meant to do. I was unsure about my path. But like once I got in front of the mic,
You mean
and
what
then just
me and Kobe had to tell you to
bro,
do?
no, not that one. When it came to my life.
I know.
Like,
That's
yeah.
what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yeah,
we
that
had to
one.
tell you. We said,
Yeah.
listen, bro, stop acting like you're scared of it.
Yeah, like okay, for real. That was like my first time ever recording in front of like an actual mic.
The second
So
time
at
we
first
did
I was
really
kind
quick.
of the
What's
second time like
What was there?
I was like it was
Done. I was like, oh, done.
exactly. It was like this sense of certainty, and like all three of us, like knowing that we're working together. And Kyle, you'll be there next time. You won't ever be there because of work. But
If you're my bitch.
knowing that we're
not supposed to
all,
tell people
you're not
that.
supposed to do that. But knowing that we're
Not
all
supposed to tell
together working on like something bigger than ourselves and then creating something from nothing, like God's given us the ability to create. You can create something that nobody else has done before. And like to me, that's like the coolest thing ever.
And that's what
But
we did.
knowing that we worked together on something, like with this one who wasn't as sure about his path, and me who was halfway, and Steven who has like all the skills and stuff that we needed, and then God being with us and just coming into the room and helping us write those lyrics and being with us as we like spit out the bars and all that. It was like the most, to me.
See, that's how I know God is like he's put his hand on us.
Yeah, it really
He says,
felt like
listen,
NoDream,
I know the
like-
desires of your heart.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you this, and you know you run with it how you will. It's like when you get a loan from somebody.
Yeah.
You can just choose what you want to do with that, but if you run with it, it's gonna be good. I feel like God's just I don't know. I felt
Just
very
gotta do
strongly
it.
in that moment.
Yeah.
I felt like something was gonna happen.
And then looking at the views right now, like we dropped it like about an hour ago.
No, well I mean it's been more than that.
Well,
now.
two,
Well,
two,
yeah,
three.
it's
Yeah,
like-
no,
it's
no,
been
no,
a-
no,
we've been running
yeah,
a long
time
time.
passing.
We've been running
It's
a
been
long
about
time.
It
3
dropped
hours.
today, though. It did
Last
drop
time I
today.
checked, it had like 60 some
I'll check
views
again.
on how many views it had on YouTube, but it was up there. And then plus we have it on all other platforms too. So we got views
Yeah.
on Spotify and SoundCloud and all those.
Thanks,
And
yeah.
if you add those
I need
together,
you to send me
Apple
the link
Music
to the
too.
Spotify
It's at
so I can
68 views right now.
68
and
views
we're
on
at
YouTube.
71 subscribers.
And it's
so we
only-
gained 3 subscribers within 5 hours.
yeah, that's pretty
Which
good.
is not
because we
bad.
haven't done anything like recently because we took a little bit of a
pretty
break.
Not bad.
But we just dropped it like three, and like seeing y'all's response to like our first song, like we're still learning a lot of things and learning how to do this and improving.
Yeah.
So just knowing that you guys are with us as we go through this journey and you guys are growing with us and helping us to step out, like it's amazing. So
Yeah.
on that front, My Life dropped today
Yes.
at 2:30.
No,
It
12.
dropped at
12?
It did
Oh
drop.
yeah, and then I YouTube dropped it on the NoDream channel.
Yeah, too.
Had to. So definitely, please, y'all go check it out. Like, there's been so many people that have been willing to like.
wait, we gotta tell them where they can find it real quick before they forget. Okay,
Huh?
listen, if you want to find My Life, until we can create a NoDream specific page for
Yeah, we're
music,
still debating
it's
on how
under
we're gonna
My
break that.
Music page. So
Yeah.
if you want to find it, it's 3XODUS.
Yeah, and
Okay?
it's still on the
X is
NoDream
free.
on
And-
the NoDream YouTube page too, and it's on all platforms.
The
So you can-
link
all platforms,
to the
yes.
iTunes
Yeah.
for Apple
It's on that
Music is
too.
in the link is in the description of the YouTube video.
Yes, so
Yeah.
please go listen to that. And if you want to support us as a group,
Yeah.
please do not mind. If you don't mind buying the song, if you don't mind,
That would
it
be
will
lit.
be going towards all of our equipment.
Yes.
So whatever we make as NoDream is going to be going towards our equipment.
into back
Yes.
into NoDream, so we can do bigger and better things. And
Yeah.
it's
And plus, we
amazing.
gave you what you wanted. You wanted a song, we gave it to you.
Wanted a song.
And
Could you give it back a little
It's
bit?
lit.
It's 99 cents. It's
Bro.
99 cents. Please bless us.
Pocket
We
change.
love you. Please.
And bring you bigger and better content
Bigger and better stuff.
because like
Yes.
we want to bring you guys not just these podcasts but also better content
Yes.
and content
With this
that
camera,
you guys
we're gonna be
will
allowed
like.
to do so much more now.
With any- dude,
well,
with-
having multiple cameras too,
Yes.
and then better equipment. There's so much more we can do.
First
and not
step-
to mention, like I don't know how long it took me to figure out that if I moved that table over there, it's off camera. That if I move that table over there, since my room is like doesn't have that much furniture in it, I could literally turn this entire half of the room into a YouTube set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long it took me to realize that. But God's literally given you, us two, not just you guys, us two, but He's given all of us the tools and the skills. Like when we were born, He's given us those skills and He laid the foundation for you to do great things. All it requires is your willingness
Yeah, to
and
learn.
the passion to go and do it and just allowing yourself to be used.
Yeah,
Alright,
someone
alright.
told me one
Name
time
change?
before we continue.
We
Hold on,
we
name.
gotta wrap
We're-
it up.
we gotta
We're-
wrap
We
it
gotta wrap it up. We're
It's
way
like, we're
over.
way
over.
We're like way
Where
over.
we at right now?
An hour 12.
That's not
Oh
bad.
my, yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
We're
For a podcast, that's
We were
short.
sitting here for an hour.
Yeah.
That's not bad for a podcast.
we're over than what we normally do. So
We're gonna hit on the name change.
So the name changes. Yours first, the one you wanted to do.
All right. So regardless, so it will be spelled like R-E and then guardless, but guardless is in all caps and all that.
You were saying like the
Yeah,
or
so
something.
we're gonna
Right,
like
guardless as in G-U-A-R-D,
Yeah, like
right?
guard.
Yeah, guardless, not guardless
Oh.
like how his name is spelled, but
Yeah.
guardless.
Because you
as
were
in,
thinking like
the
most
not
important-
defending.
No, I was like, regardless.
Yeah.
Huh? I was like, what you mean? Does that
And
make it?
we already have an idea for the logo for it, and we're not. This is okay. I don't know how to say this. That doesn't mean this still isn't the No Dream podcast, but it is, regardless, the No Dream podcast.
Yes.
You feel me? Like, okay, so everything needs a
I like
title.
God's idea too. Though.
Like,
Well, you
okay,
have-
Oh, wait, should we
My-
ask them names for our group? Because we still. Oh, wait, no, it's 813.
Hey, wait,
What's
I
that?
guess we can reveal
We never
it.
figured it out.
Hold up, we'll reveal it
What is
afterwards.
813?
It's No Dream 813. But anyway,
Uh,
yeah, so it means that, okay, one, we're going to talk about whatever you want, regardless, no matter who thinks it might be offensive, that's not going to stop the truth. We're coming for you. Two,
he's coming for you.
okay,
I'm just doing me.
two, bro, y'all just going to leave me out. Alright,
No.
two, regardless. Hey, I think we already hit it with the first one.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the truth regardless. Oh, guardless, right?
Yeah, but-
Guardless means we're not defending. So outside in the world, it can be so hard to talk about certain things and, just be real. And it's an effort too.
Yeah,
but with this podcast, it's really allowed us to be guardless. Like to let our guards down and talk about past trauma or things that affected us. And it's really helped us to be guardless. And the prefix re means to do it again.
Yeah.
So if we're being guardless, over. So we're being guardless over and over and over.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get hurt once and then lock our hearts up and stop talking about our feelings because we've been hurt once. We're going to be, no matter how much we get hurt or no matter how many things impact us, we're going to continue to be open and honest, not only with each other, but with you guys as
Great
well.
transition to the song that we just released, My Life, now on iTunes.
Oh yeah, and we'll release a short video on the meaning of that later.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe, like, all that. You
Look
mind
out for us
plugging
going live
yourself?
soon too. Like
Yeah.
we go live soon. We're probably going to be describing more of the song there.
Yeah, plug
So-
yourselves, all that. You can
At
follow me on
Access
Insta at NoDream_Jaya. And then all of us at NoDream_ is it underscore nation? Or
Underscore
NoDream_ records.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then make sure you subscribe on YouTube. All that.
Our Instagram.
So the No Dream Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes. No Dream
That
underscore
makes more
records.
sense.
And
I
then
was gonna say.
go ahead and plug your Instas and all that.
Oh yeah, it's just at Kobe Bland.
Oh yeah, were you thinking about changing your name?
To that.
Yeah, to like
KJ?
your artist name?
Shut up.
Yes.
If you want.
Yes.
I mean, I did, he did.
It doesn't
You don't
matter.
have to.
Do what you want. It's you.
My name was already there.
You're an outer. You?
Mine's already there.
I'm gonna keep mine.
Yeah, keep yours?
yeah,
Alright,
yeah.
yeah.
Exodus_music. The E is a 3, so don't put an E there.
Alright. And then, yeah, so, I mean,
That's it.
you kind of revealed the name, but.
Wait, didn't Kyle have
By the time they hear this, they
Yeah, we
probably heard
can.
the
You
song.
probably already know like the name for
You just
our
said
group
Gordon.
anyway. What'd you say, Coach?
The other podcast name.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the other podcast name?
I don't remember.
Was it like a sermon? No, something sermon series.
Oh, I remember that.
Let's
We
make
played
it a sermon
Warzone. We played
series.
Warzone when y'all talked about that.
Yeah, we
Sermon
talked.
series?
Let's make
I
it
remember
a
that.
sermon series podcast.
But
Something like that.
we could, but we can't.
I like
That means we gotta only
regardless
talk about
though, because
something.
regardless
I
has
kinda-
like
no,
this-
like-
Why don't we let them
the-
vote on it? Let them vote on it.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
Vote.
So we'll put a poll up on Insta.
I didn't put an idea either.
Oh, what is your idea?
I don't know. I gotta come up with one.
All right, so
Oh,
on,
can we both come up with one?
on
let's,
each of our-
let's do it together.
Yeah.
We'll come up with one together.
on each of our
Then we'll let
pages,
them vote.
on
Yeah,
each of our
we'll
pages,
vote.
we'll post a poll on Insta, on our stories at
Yeah.
least, and then just vote for the name you think is best, and it will be decided that way.
Yeah.
Let's go. But I think that is all. We've come a long way, guys.
Most
Um,
definitely.
This is season 2. We finally dropped the
Episode one.
music.
We
I have
finally
tons of
dropped
merch. Well, all of us, I'm pretty sure, have merch ideas and stuff we want to.
I already have some merch. Cop it.
Yeah, it's a bracelet.
But yeah, we're looking for like
Yeah.
companies that will sponsor us. So if you're out there watching this, please. I know some people have hit us up on Insta about certain things, and we're definitely listening. If you guys want to be involved with the YouTube stuff, don't be afraid to DM me or him, and we will try to get with you on that. Like a lot of us, don't forget, we're still in college too, so we got to
Yeah,
balance
we are.
that out with
Yeah.
all of this. and
I'm gonna start it next week. But
yeah, I'm not saying it's difficult,
Oh my
but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So please bear with us, be patient with us with all that, and I think that is it.
That's it.
That's it for
Yeah,
the
NoDream
first podcast of season 2. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, do all that stuff. Run the new song up. Let's go. Let's chase our dreams together. And
No dream but for the one king.
we got No Dream, but I don't dream.
Press one king.
No Dream Nation.
Out.
Out.
Out.